Thanks for joining us for another episode of Mid-American Gardener. I'm your host, Tinisha Spain, and we are in the studio, and I'm joined by the Martie Alagna. She's our in-studio guest today, and we're going to be talking about, we're itching to get outside, we're bored, it's cold, and so we need to do the things. And so Martie's going to help us do the things. So before we get into that, tell the people a little bit about you and where they can find you.
Well, I sleep here. I never leave. I've been over in a corner waiting desperately for 2 years for the studio to reopen.
She's not kidding. She sleeps here.
That's why I look the way I do. I'm a mostly retired landscaper. I usually work for the home garden, small home gardens that are visually appealing. Kind of my thing, low maintenance, because nobody hires you to do their yard if they already know how.
That's true. So you would not be, or you would not have been in business.
That's right. That's right. So I mean, some things are tear this out. Could we have grass? Like ornamental grass? No, lawn. Okay.
Whatever you like. You're the customer.
I try. I do try. I do try. I'm like, you'll never have to prune these. They just come and then go back down again. I don't know why people don't like hostas more than they do, but yeah. So anyway,
that's your claim.
They're just so simple.
They are. They really are, and they're pretty too.
Oh yeah, and the hydrangea varieties that have come out in the last 10, 15 years. Oh my God, they're mind blowing.
She's a landscaper, folks.
I can't help it.
It's in the blood.
I may not remember the house number on your dwelling, but I will remember the spruce tree on the left-hand side of the house.
There you go.
There you drive by. And whether or not you have clematis on your
have beef with clematis?
That's important. No.
Oh.
Just.
I know you have beef with certain plants, and I didn't know if that was on the list.
No, I like that. No, but the visual aspect of your landscaping, good or bad, is what sticks in my noggin. So,
Gotcha. Well, what we need to stick in our noggin, you see how I did that?
I saw that. Good. It's
seed starting and how to do it well. Because sometimes, and I'm one of these people, sometimes my mix is a little heavy and the seedlings are fighting to get above. So let's talk about the perfect or the best or a good recipe for seed mix.
You get what you pay for on public television. Okay, I'm bringing seed and cutting starter. Okay, and you'll notice it's a partial bag because I've used some of it. I'm going to kind of walk through this today because, and I'm going to tell you the things I have done wrong and why I'm trying not to do them again. And there's steps I skipped last year. And every year you have hope for your garden.
Yes.
But then last year, everybody's confined to quarters, and you're thinking, Victory Garden, this is what I'm going to do. This will be so fantastic, and it was. Oh God! It was
My
really
garden
bad.
was terrible last year.
Yes, most of the people I know the garden had a horrible garden. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, let's start at the beginning. Okay, you can buy these. This happens to have a hole in one corner because I've used it over and over a few years. So I'll probably put another one underneath it so it holds water. It's just a plastic seed starter. I bought these little Jiffy pots. I typically start my plants in this size. Some people start them much smaller, and I admire them. But I got to tell you what,
you're going to be moving them fairly soon.
Well,
does this buy you more time? Is that why you like these?
It saves me time. I don't have to keep transplanting.
Yes,
because I'm not gonna do that. Because I'm lazy. So
most of us are.
So as I said. These, and the cover is absolutely essential. If you can find the taller covers, those are awesome. I've fixed the tray and the cover a couple of times with some tape, but I'm used magic invisible tape, so you have to take my word for it. And then you can use these until they crack, until they break, until they leak, which both of these are doing. However, you must wash them every season with hot soapy bleach water, okay? When I carried these in, and when I took the lid out of the base, Tinisha said, "Oh, I can smell the bleach."
Oh, yes, if it's smell-o-vision, you guys would smell the bleach.
Yeah, you could. So,
Moms love bleach.
No, yeah. So, So that's what I do with that. I usually, I plant these when they have the seeds in them, so I buy new ones every year, obviously. And I've tried the ones like the peat pellets that you drop in hot
and
water
they
and
swell.
they, whoop, yeah, those are fun. But they're not big enough for me. I can do them, but if I use them in a peat pot that has soil in it.
Yes.
So it gets its own little individual thing there. But typically I don't use those anymore because what I do is, forgive me, John Bodensteiner, forgive me. I use seed until it's gone. And if it's old, like this is some that I saved. It's from a pepper called Crimson Lee. A friend of mine turned me onto these, and they are fantastic. They got a little bit of bite to them, but they're not horrible, and they won't hurt you real bad. So
not real bad.
I saved. They just got a little zip to them, but they're not. I mean, they're not. I wouldn't call them a hot pepper at all, but they're nice and big. They turn a beautiful red. My gosh, they're just gorgeous things. They're kind of elongated. I had some that I just let them dry.
So this is older seed.
This is from 2016.
16.
That's
Gosh.
6 years old.
Wow.
But
Everything is either pre or post pandemic, right?
It is, yeah. So, and I mean, I'm not gonna plant 40 seeds. I mean, I only need about 5 or 6 peppers. But what I do, especially since the seed is old, is that I put 3 seeds in a triangle in that pot. In a little triangle. They're over close to the edge, okay? And if everybody thrives, God help me, I will actually transplant these damn things. But if they don't, well, then you got one in the pot. If a couple of them croak off, fine. If they all manage to survive, even though they're old seed, and you only need one of these, you just ruthlessly pinch off the other one or give it to her. Something.
Because I'll take it.
Yeah, so
I'll take them.
So I will do that. But I just do a little CYA with older seed because I kind of multi-planted. So
Gotcha.
I just plant more.
And there's nothing really wrong with using old seed, right? You just might not get a great...
Your germination rate is not as good.
Yeah.
That's it. But I don't, I have a small garden. It doesn't matter. It's just 2 of us. So
Give them a shot.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So I have this left over.
Okay.
I usually will shush you. I'll usually buy new, but if I don't have new, I will do the used stuff, and it is worth your while because there's no place that I know of that I would store this and trust it over a season. It's worth your while to put this in like a half-sheet baking pan, aluminum pan, metal, something in a layer about that thick, and, well, you could go a little thicker, but still, put it in the oven at like 250 and bake it for about an hour and then let it cool off, and you can use it then.
Got it.
Because now it's sterilized and whatever wants to grow in there and make your seeds damp off, and then you're going to be mad at me. That won't happen, see?
Your house might be a little stinky.
Yeah.
I've heard it's a little earthy.
It is earthy,
A little earthy, but
it's not as bad as a litter box. I mean, there's a lot worse things than that, so
Okay.
I'm just saying.
You're right.
Okay, so once you have this baked, there's not very much soil in there, not very much starter mix, and you know what, maybe a quart or something, and you think, well, I don't need a bowl that big. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. So you put this in the bowl. I'm not going to do this right now, but because it hasn't been baked yet, but you put it in the bowl, and you get hot water, and you pour it over.
Now this is after it's been baked.
After it's been baked and it's cooled,
okay.
You put it in the bowl and you add hot, like steam. You can feel the pitcher.
Yes.
Okay, I use I'll even do a tea kettle and I'll heat the water. Doesn't even matter if it's boiling. You want it sterile anyway. All you're doing is moistening this mix, but it's mostly peat moss and it sucks it up like crazy. So for that amount of soil mix, I would probably use at least half of this.
Okay.
It's almost like a 2 soil, 1 to 2 ratio from the water and the soil.
And that's just to sort of
because it's dry. If you try to pack this in here dry, and then you have to water it to moisten it, everything will float out.
This happens. I've done it.
Dry as dry. How dry is it? It's as dry as a popcorn fart. That's what it is. So you moisten the medium first, and then you put it in here. Stir it around a little bit, and then just do something else. You know, figure out what your seeds are and how many pots you're going to need and all that. You know, give it a stir, and when it's nice, it doesn't have to be mushy. You know, just damp like you want. Put it in the pot, pack it in there. Pack it. It doesn't seem like you'd want to do that, but you do because it's such a fluffy, light mix. It's perlite and peat moss, so it's just really, really dry and feathery. Yeah, it will. Oh, yeah. If you open the bag too fast, you can inhale that, and then you got to go to the doctor. So
do you just put these cups directly in your trays?
I do. I just set them in, and hopefully they fit like you want them to. I have more than these. I bought more than these. I got them at, I think I bought these at Rural King, you know, because I'm a professional. I'll try this at home. Yeah, and ordinarily, you know, they'll fit pretty tight. Let's see. I thought I'd probably get about 18 in here.
And then
and
just water it down into the liner?
Yeah, so your pots are moist, your medium is moist in your little peat pots. And then you plant your seeds, like I said. I do a triangle because usually I use old. Even if I'm using new seed, I still use at least 2 because, you know, stuff happens.
And I like how you do that. I did that last year, and it makes it easier when you're thinning out and pinching off the ones you don't need.
Yeah, Lord, don't put them all in the middle because you're going to kill the one you want. You know it.
Right?
And since you want to thin, if you even go in there with a little scissors or something and you clip it off, you'll either nick the one you intend to save, or that one you tried to kill somehow. It'll put it on a leaf. I'm like, I hate you. Okay.
You're not the one that was supposed to stay.
I had to screw up my courage to kill you, and now you just, God, you won't even just die, will you? So yeah, so I got a big tin, like cookies come in, like those little bitty butter cookies dipped in chocolate and stuff. I got a big tin like that, and that's where all my seeds go. Vaguely organized, so. I love this grand mix of pepper. Here, you can look at that if you want. I think that's from Northrop King. Let's see those. Yes. And then I've got some poblano peppers here. This is ancho poblano because poblanos dried are anchos. Letting you know there.
Little knowledge for you.
Ta-da!
So these that you have in the bag, these are the ones that you were gifted?
These are the crimson leaves, yeah. And they, I had several that I ate and then I froze. And so I just let them sit. I let them sit on my kitchen counter because that's the scientific way to do it. And they dried off. And I put them in here and I shook the bag a little bit. I don't know if you can see or not, but the seeds just fall to the bottom of the bag. Oh, here we go, wrong camera. So, and then these are the peppers up here. But what you want, I mean, you can see them, and they're nice big, strong seeds. They did really well. Now, I make my own labels. Okay,
that's another big part of it. Yeah. Because, well, you remember last year, Martie, is this a
cauliflower or broccoli?
I didn't know. And so we had to wait a couple weeks until they kind of gave some distinguishing characteristics.
I know, they're all embryos. It's all you can. They just look like a little, anyway. so I get skewers like you use, like
bamboo
skewers, yeah. And I cut them to length. They can't be too long or the lid won't go on them unless you're smart and you get a tall lid like I told you, which I did not get because I'm not smart. So then I write my variety on there just with an ink pen on paper. Any paper will do. And then I completely encase it in tape. And I know you may not be able, to make it out a little bit there. It says Kellogg's beefsteak. Yeah.
That's the great big tomato, right? Beefsteak tomatoes?
Why would you grow small ones? I don't understand.
I don't eat tomatoes, so I don't understand the logic.
I see what
you're
okay.
Sorry.
All right, we'll just move on to peppers then. Okay, so I make these, and I put one in every pot. At the very least, plant your seeds in short rows here, and if you only have 3 of something, put one in that row, because you will not remember, will you, Tinisha?
And you'll turn the tray to water.
Yeah.
And you'll do a bunch of things.
Like, what is exactly?
And then you won't know if it's broccoli or cauliflower for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Exactly. That is exactly right. Labels are important. I know, and you'll see, my method is a little labor intensive, but this is a tag from last year, okay? and it was just floating around.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still read it.
And
And
I
I
think
even put it in the garden so I can see later. What
one
were
of our
these again?
panelists, Ella, I believe it is, says that she writes on her labels in pencil because pencil doesn't wash out.
Right.
If she's using the plastic shiny one. So just another tip
Yeah.
there. Sometimes permanent marker will fade.
Grease pencil stays for a while, but I wonder if you could do like grease pencil and then put tape over it.
Could be.
I don't know, because wide, clear packing tape is my friend.
Yes, I use that for everything.
Me too.
Something breaks, got it.
I use it for everything.
So
now, last year, I did not wash my tray or the lid.
I feel a cautionary tale coming on.
And last year, this isn't children. Last year, I didn't wash these. Last year, I used some of this that I had left over and I didn't sterilize it. And they all came up just fine. So I felt like, well, there's 50 years of experience. That's how it goes. No, that's not how it goes. They all damped off, right? You know, it was sad.
Something was in there. So you can't skip those steps, even
I
though
don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we'll just move on.
It's pretty bad.
So the other thing we have, all of us have at home, is poinsettias.
Yeah.
That we've got left over from the holidays.
If you're a gardener, you have poinsettias left. Other people just throw them out ruthlessly.
That's true.
Which is
And
frightening.
Kelly, one of our panelists, encourages people to toss them so that the greenhouse folks can stay in business. So we get that. She tells people, throw them away. But I've got one at home that I've had for 2 years. I can't throw it away. It's full and pretty. It hasn't bloomed, but it's alive, and I don't want to just.
I'm the one, I attend a small church. People buy poinsettias for the Christmas season, and they're still alive.
Yes, I'm one of those people
I
too.
can't.
No, I
They're
can't.
just like, please, Martie,
Take me
throw us
home.
out in the cold. So I take them home. I have a south-facing picture window in my living room, and that's where all the houseplants are.
Okay.
And I try and convince myself that I will put them in the closet every year, and I will,
go through the whole process.
Do all the things I'm supposed to do. I don't do that.
Now, are these both this year?
These are 2 years old.
2 years old, okay.
Yeah, last year they also bloomed for me. They would have bloomed better. It was kind of like this, a little bit. I mean, they were a little fuller because I was sick in December, and November was busy. And they were putting on new growth, and I thought, no, I don't want to prune that off. They need to be a little taller anyway, so that's what I'll do. So, much to my delight, they went ahead and nature finds a way.
Yes.
So this guy, he's a little droopy.
But that's okay.
The dog knocked it off a time or two. I felt bad for it. Then I couldn't throw it away because I was so sympathetic. I love the pink and white ones.
I like
that.
Yeah. That's a
so
very pretty
this is what they did on their own. Okay. So if you follow the directions that are in multiple websites and books, and think how much better yours could look than mine do. Now
this is just with a little neglect.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah. Scientific neglect, no less.
Scientific neglect. I
That's
love
right.
it. So you're going to keep these. These are part of the family now.
You betcha.
So what are you going to do with them? How are we going to?
When the blooms fade, when these bracts fade, because they're not. On poinsettias, the blooms are those little yellow dudes in the middle, right? These are just bracts because in their native countries where they grow, they need a little extra color to tell the flowers, to tell the bugs to pollinate, and they need to find those little tiny flowers. So all these bracts around, these are just leaves. They just change color. So when the bracts fall and everything's just green again, I'll probably, this is definitely coming off. But you can see all the new growth, and feel these, how dry they are. Okay, people, a lot of times when they want to overwinter poinsettias, they make a huge mistake in watering them like they would a houseplant. But poinsettias grow in equatorial countries. I mean, they don't need it to be wet at all. Also, when you've no doubt broken one off, and the sap is real sticky and thick, okay, because they're like euphorbia. So they have that really thick gummy sap, and they don't need a lot of moisture. They're almost like a succulent because of the thickness of their sap.
Interesting.
Their leaves are just typical leaves, but the sap itself, the way the plant grows, I mean, it's designed to be able to survive.
Take the abuse.
I saw one on St. Kitts one time, and I knew I recognized that plant, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Turned out to be a poinsettia that was like the size of a dogwood tree here. It was big enough.
Oh
It was
my gosh.
growing on some side of somebody's house. They had a bench you could sit on underneath, and I'm like,
wow, sitting under a poinsettia.
yes, yeah.
Did you go sit on this stranger's bench?
It was in somebody's yard.
I would have.
I wanted to. But we were walking down this hill, and I would see this little house and this plant. I'm like, I know
what
plant
that is. I just.
Why? But I've never seen one that was big enough you could put a bench under, let alone. Sometimes amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, it wasn't blooming. In my defense, it wasn't blooming.
So with these, are you going to take them all the way back? Like let's.
I'll probably cut them back about. This one I probably won't cut back until it puts on more bloom. This one I'll probably cut back to about 6-7 inches tall. I'll take this little dead stem off. There's another one I can just.
There's some new growth in there
easily.
too.
There is new growth, and I've got a couple more at home, and they're all just growing up. So maybe I'll do right by them, you know.
And you can take them back to church next Christmas.
There you
That
go.
way- well,
Here.
don't tell Kelly, but you know. So for the at-home person who has a poinsettia like this at home, what do you recommend for them? Cut it back, blah blah blah. Give us the rundown.
I would water them minimally. Okay, so feel the soil like it's an inch down or farther. It's got to be dry that far before you water it again, because they don't need a lot of water. They'll rot, especially if you have them in something like this foil, but I didn't have any more drip trays, so I left the foil on.
Which I've heard people do, but they just say make sure water isn't pooling down there. So
exactly.
The foil's fine.
When I water these, I use, this is like a 6-inch pot. I use, I don't know, no more than a cup of water at a time. And they're just fine. They do great. The bracts will fall, they'll fade, they'll start putting on a little bit of new growth now that the days are getting longer here in January. And when it gets warm enough outside, if you have a shaded porch, I'd put them out there. Even or on the east side of a porch that's shady in the afternoon, or that only morning sun, or under a shade tree if you have a situation like that.
Like in spring and summer? Okay.
Yeah.
But not direct sunlight.
No, I wouldn't. They're not. They live in direct sunlight where they're native to, but these just came out of the house. So treat them like something you're trying to harden off.
Yes, got it. Before you fry them out in the front yard.
Yeah, it's fry. That's the industry term. So.
Got it. Okay.
And take the foil off. Let them drain, like just treat them like a potted plant you have outside in the shade somewhere. And if they start to get a little leggy, cut them back or move them where they get a little more sun or not. Feed them. Try to get as much growth on as you can. I would probably use just a balanced fertilizer.
Okay.
You could do just nitrogen if you wanted them to just get bigger, but then you got to knock that off like July, August.
Got it.
Because you want them to bloom. So.
Okay. And what about repotting? How long would you leave them in these 6-inch pots?
Till they're too big for them.
Science.
Yeah. Potted plants, container plants of any kind, do better with tight shoes. They just do, because it's just not the same as growing in the face of the planet. I know that surprises you.
It is. That is shocking. I wonder if we could take a peek at the roots.
Sure.
Oh, it's good. See, it's dry.
Yeah. You see them going around the edge there.
I'll hold, you talk.
Yeah.
Are these good?
Yeah. And if I wanted to repot this, if by some miracle it would grow enough that I think it would need to be repotted, I would take a knife, a sharp one, and ruthlessly slice about 6 or 8 places on these roots. I'd take this top, turn it up a little bit, will you? This little top crusty edge, I'd peel it off. I'd loosen the bottom maybe with an X or maybe 3 cuts or 4, big star. Loosen it up.
Tease them out?
Yeah, one more, or cut them off, what the heck. And
let her take her hair down.
And put it in one pot bigger, one size pot bigger. 1 inch or 2, like this usually like 6, 8, 10. Go one size up, and your new soil will be around the outside. Put it in the pot, put a little in the bottom, put it in there. Make sure the level is up here where it needs to be. Don't let it sink too far down in the pot. And then stuff your soil, which has been moistened, down around the edges. And then water the whole thing.
There you go,
Yeah,
back in action.
and leave it in the sink or set it outside under the tree like we discussed earlier. Yeah, usually most people repot stuff when they really don't need to be repotted. They're just trying to overcare.
You get a cool pot.
Yeah.
You want to, you get bored. The plant's fine.
The plant's fine.
It's us.
people are better off, really, to prune the plant back in 90% of the cases. Prune the plant back smaller and put it in the same size pot, which is a cool pot, or one size smaller pot.
One size.
Because you're going to have transplant shock, and they're not going to do well with that. So,
okay.
So,
Can you believe we're out of time? That was the show.
I can't even see a clock. I don't know
That
what we're
was
doing.
it.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And thank you so much for watching. And we will see you next time. Make sure you look us up on our socials. Just search Mid-American Gardener. And you can send us your questions to yourgarden@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.